So this stick has been known in Zen as a teaching tool. So many times on the stream, I've talked about experiencing the mind before thinking, right? Many people understand it. There's many names for that. Don't know mind, before thinking mind, the absolute, primary point, nirvana, enlightenment, right? There's many different names for that. So as a teaching tool, and you'll find this not so much these days, and I'll tell you why, but when, for example, when Zen was flourishing in China, the teacher used the stick to help the student have an awakening, right? To have this experience before the mind, before thinking. So for example, a student would come to a teacher and ask, what is enlightenment? What is my true self? What's the meaning of life? The teacher would take the stick and wham, hit them. Now it sounds abusive, but it's not meant to be abusive. It just means at that moment when that stick hit the monk's mind opened up. In fact, all of the ideas, what's my true self? What is enlightenment? What is the meaning of this life? All of that in that moment disappeared. It means the stick, the sensation, the hit, at that moment, woke up. Some teachers used a little bit different technique, right? One teacher, if somebody came to them and asked, what is my true self? What is enlightenment? What is the meaning of life? They would shout, ha! Really loud, right? If you read any of our books in the Quantum School of Zen, it's spelled out K-A-T-Z, cuts. And again, at that moment, that shout hit the student's mind, then awakening. At that moment, there was no enlightenment, no true self, no meaning of life. The mind and the sound became one. The stick and the mind became one point. So in our school, we use a little bit different tool. A lot of that has to do, if we hit students, we probably get sued these days, right? So in our school, we use hit, right? At that moment, my hand, the sound, your mind, everybody else on the stream became one point. That sound doesn't have good or bad, right or wrong, I or you, like or dislike. It doesn't even have Zen, Buddhism, koan, any of that stuff. Just at that moment, your mind, my mind, right? We call that transmission. So Zen Master Sung Song would say, if you're thinking and I'm thinking, we are separate. But if you're not thinking, I'm not thinking, we're exactly the same. That means your don't know mind, my don't know mind is exactly the same. So the Zen stick was used, or at least at that time, for that teaching point.